Welcome to this examination of the architecture of thought. In this presentation, we will examine critical thinking not merely as a modern skill set, but as an evolving historical blueprint of reason. We will trace how ancient frameworks of inquiry blend with modern strategies to provide a structured approach for navigating uncertainty, testing logic, and cultivating the intellectual humility required for objective decision-making. To understand the foundations of reason, we must trace their roots back to ancient Egypt. Long before the rise of classical Greece, advanced knowledge of algebra, geometry, and quadratic equations was documented in works like the Rhind Mathematical Papyrus and the Berlin Papyrus. This intellectual baseline facilitated a significant knowledge transfer. Pythagoras spent over 2 decades studying with the priests of Heliopolis before introducing his geometric theorems to Greece, and Plato later spent 13 years there. Furthermore, early metaphysical concepts, such as Pharaoh Akhenaten's formulation of a single unseen first cause responsible for causation, directly paved the way for subsequent classical metaphysics. As this knowledge expanded into the Mediterranean, the pre-Socratics shifted the human paradigm from myth to natural philosophy, seeking to explain the natural world by identifying its foundational material. Thinkers divided into 2 primary camps, the monists and the pluralists. Monists argued for a single underlying substance. Thales of Miletus proposed that all nature was fundamentally water. Anaximenes argued for air, and Parmenides asserted that change itself is an illusion, leaving reality unified and unchanging. Conversely, pluralists like Empedocles posited that the natural world is composed of multiple substances, specifically earth, air, fire, and water, governed by the opposing forces of love and strife. This quest for foundational truths shifted from the physical world to human knowledge under Socrates and Plato. Socrates introduced the elenchus, a system of targeted questioning designed to expose internal contradictions, dismantle false assumptions, and build intellectual humility. Plato expanded on this by addressing the nature of reality through Platonic dualism, or the theory of forms. He divided existence into 2 domains: the material realm, which is the changing, imperfect physical world we observe, and the invisible realm, an eternal, unchanging dimension of perfect forms that gives physical things their true identity. Where Plato looked to abstract realms, Aristotle established a grounded, systematic framework for diagnosing the exact nature of any object or problem by analyzing its properties. Known as the engine of causation, his framework requires answering 4 precise questions. First, the material cause. What is the entity made of, such as bronze metal? Second, the formal cause. What shape or design does it take? Third, the efficient cause. What agent or force brought it into this form, such as a sculptor wielding a chisel? Finally, the final cause. What is its ultimate end goal or purpose? Together, these 4 causes form a closed diagnostic system for objective analysis. Over time, these classical methodologies were formalized into the scaffolding of classical education, organized as the 7 liberal arts. Designed as a conceptual bridge from the material world to universal truths, they were divided into 2 stages. First, the trivium, or the arts of the word, established primary literacy. Grammar produces first-order knowledge. Logic provides Aristotelian reasoning to ensure clarity and consistency, and rhetoric teaches the art of spoken persuasion. Upon this foundation stood the quadrivium, or the arts of quantity. Arithmetic handles discrete quantity, geometry, continuous quantity, music, discrete quantity in motion, and astronomy, continuous quantity in motion. Together, they prepared the mind for the highest tiers of inquiry, philosophy, and theology. Central to this intellectual development was the evolution of dialectical reasoning, the art of arriving at truth through dialogue, opposition, and contradiction. We can contrast 2 foundational models. The Socratic model centers heavily on the elenchus, utilizing cross-examination to expose circularity in beliefs, moving inward from society and community to confront the self, even if the process ends in aporia or puzzlement without a clear resolution. The Aristotelian model functions as a practical framework derived from endoxa, or widely accepted opinions. It uses structured dialogue formats, strategic questioning, and formal syllogisms to train the mind for analytical science and effective audience persuasion. By the 19th century, the concept of the dialectic evolved from a tool for dialogue into an immanent, self-developing historical process where contradictions serve as engines of progress rather than logical flaws. The Hegelian dialectical framework operates through three distinct moments: understanding, which establishes a fixed definition; dialectical negation, which cancels the initial limitation while preserving its core elements; and speculative resolution, known as Aufheben or sublation, which synthesizes the tension into a richer unity. This framework was later adapted into the Marxist dialectic, which shifted the focus from the evolution of ideas to material socio-economic conditions, analyzing historical contradictions between the forces and relations of production as the primary drivers of class struggle. To apply these models effectively, let us compare their core elements directly. The Socratic framework focuses on questioning to expose internal contradictions, emphasizes logical rigor and deep inquiry, and finds modern application in ethical leadership deliberation. The Aristotelian framework relies on arguments from accepted opinions using syllogisms, prioritizing practical, audience-aware communication useful for formal debate and policy analysis. The Hegelian model utilizes the immanent development of contradictions via sublation, offering a holistic view that turns systemic tension into progress, which is highly applicable to modern systems thinking and scenario planning. Finally, the Marxist model examines material contradictions driving historical change, grounding ideas in real socio-economic conditions to analyze political economy. Moving into the 17th and 18th centuries, the Age of Enlightenment marked a definitive break from scholastic mysticism, demanding strict empirical and rational testing to validate human knowledge. This era was defined by the intersection of two distinct epistemological schools. Empiricism asserts that knowledge comes primarily from sensory experience and hypotheses tested against rigorous observation of the natural world. Rationalism argues that the intellect, deduction, and reason are the chief sources and tests of knowledge, independent of mere experience. The shared core premise of this intersection is that human beings are fully capable of using systematic reason to combat ignorance and achieve linear progress. Enlightenment thinkers rapidly applied this critical reason to re-architect the relationship between the citizen and the state, formulating the concept of the social contract. Thomas Hobbes, writing in Leviathan, argued that because humans naturally exist in a chaotic, competitive state of nature, individuals must explicitly cede certain rights to an absolute sovereign authority in exchange for security, protection, and peace. Conversely, John Locke, in his two treatises, posited that individuals possess universal, inalienable natural rights. Consequently, he argued that legitimate political power must be representative and strictly based on the consent of the governed, creating a balance between state authority and individual liberty. The internal logic of the Enlightenment naturally drove an expansion of its own principles, fueling progressivism and demands for the expansion of rights. The Marquis de Condorcet established the foundational idea of progress, arguing that expanding knowledge in the natural sciences would inevitably lead to a more just world characterized by individual freedom and moral compassion. This mandate pushed open a radical frontier. Thinkers and scientists like Olympe de Gouges, Mary Wollstonecraft, Émilie du Châtelet, Caroline Herschel, Mary Somerville, and Maria Sibylla Merian utilized the era's own rigorous logic to demand female inclusion in the intellectual sphere, demonstrating that universal reason left no logical basis for exclusion. Immanuel Kant synthesized the ongoing tension between rationalism and empiricism through what he termed his Copernican revolution in philosophy, which identified the absolute boundaries of human thought. Kant argued that while our understanding of the external world is fundamentally derived from personal experience, the human mind is not a passive receiver. It actively shapes and structures these perceptions through innate cognitive frameworks. Furthermore, he demonstrated the limits of reason, showing that pure speculative reason divorced from experience generates unavoidable antinomies, or logical contradictions, proving that human logic has boundaries and that true morality must depend on intent rather than just consequence. Today, 3,000 years of philosophical evolution culminate in modern applied problem-solving methodologies such as the military decision-making process, or MDMP, and the Sinefin framework. Traditional doctrinal models excel at structured problems where variables are known and predictable. However, the modern operational environment is increasingly characterized by high ambiguity, uncertainty, and volatility. Solving these ill-structured, undefined problems requires moving beyond a rigid, linear checklist. Leaders must instead adopt a highly flexible diagnostic complexity toolkit rooted in rigorous critical thinking to organize chaos into actionable execution. At the core of this complexity toolkit are the three engines of logic: deductive, inductive, and abductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning moves from general, validated premises to a particular conclusion, offering logical certainty if the form is valid and the premises are true, as seen in classical syllogisms. Inductive reasoning moves in the opposite direction, taking particular observations to formulate general conclusions. It deals in probability rather than absolute certainty, such as observing 1,000 white swans to hypothesize that all swans are white. Abductive reasoning operates from incomplete observations to determine the most likely explanation, providing a structured best guess based on available data, which is the baseline method for medical diagnoses and intelligence gathering. To synthesize these tools for operational use, we look to how modern critical thinking is defined across both doctrinal and theoretical perspectives, oriented toward effective decision-making. The doctrinal view, as articulated in Army Doctrine Publication 5.0, defines it as purposeful and reflective judgment about what to believe or what to do in response to observations, experiences, or arguments, making it an essential tool to identify root causes, counter cognitive biases, and avoid logical errors. This directly complements the theoretical view established by Paul and Elder, which defines it as the mode of thinking in which the thinker improves the quality of their thought by skillfully taking charge of the structures inherent in thinking and imposing intellectual standards upon them. To take charge of those structures, Paul and Elder outline the anatomy of thought, which breaks thinking down into 8 distinct interacting gears. Every act of reasoning has a purpose, which is the goal or objective. It addresses a specific question at issue, or the problem being solved. It relies on information, consisting of data, evidence, and observations. It operates on explicit or implicit assumptions, which are the unstated beliefs taken for granted. It uses concepts, meaning the theories, definitions, and laws that shape the thought. It generates inferences, which are the interpretations or conclusions drawn. It yields implications, which are the consequences that naturally follow. Finally, all of this is viewed through a specific point of view or frame of reference. Quality control within this anatomy of thought is maintained by applying universal intellectual standards. These act as a rigorous measuring stick to evaluate the integrity of our reasoning and evidence. We must ask, is the statement easily understood? Its clarity? Is the information fundamentally true? Its accuracy? Are the exact, necessary details provided? Its precision? Does the data directly connect to the question at issue, its relevance? Does the thought address the true complexities of the problem, its depth? Have alternative viewpoints been structurally considered, its breadth? Do the conclusions naturally follow from the premises, its logic? Is the reasoning free from distorting biases, its fairness? And finally, is this the most important problem to consider, its significance? Ultimately, the ultimate defense against cognitive error is metacognition, the practice of thinking about thinking. As humans, we are naturally comfortable in rigid, established patterns of thought because our brains rely on fast heuristics and cognitive biases to save energy. To combat this tendency and navigate a highly volatile world, a modern critical thinker must actively examine their own intuitions, motivations, and underlying assumptions. This requires cultivating the deep intellectual humility necessary to willingly abandon a closely held belief the moment they are presented with superior, verifiable evidence. Therefore, we see that critical thinking is not an innate automatic gift. It is a carefully constructed architecture. By feeding the raw elements of thought through the filtering funnel of universal intellectual standards, we refine our cognitive processing. This disciplined process, carried out consistently over time, yields cultivated intellectual traits: intellectual humility, courage, empathy, autonomy, integrity, perseverance, and confidence in reason. The output of this architectural system transforms raw, chaotic assertions into refined, objective, strategic conclusions. In conclusion, from the geometry of ancient Heliopolis to the complexity of modern operational strategy, the architecture of human thought requires constant maintenance. Critical thinking is not a static checklist or a fixed mental model that you memorize once and complete. It is a lifelong practice and a daily regimen of intellectual rigor, structural discipline, and profound curiosity. As leaders navigating complex environments, maintaining this disciplined baseline of reason is our primary tool for transforming disagreement into productive resolution and uncertainty into decisive action.